Good day, everyone. This is the research presentation of AB Psychology 1B Group 2. Here are my co-presenters and co-researchers. First and foremost, I am Judy Postrero. We have Ms. Sweeth Bolves.
Good day, everyone.
We have Ms. Camille.
Good day, everyone.
And we also have Ms. Maryjane Eripol.
Good day, everyone.
This is our research title, The Impact of Online Learning to Students, Understanding the Struggles in Distance Learning Modality. The coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19 crisis has affected the entire globe, not only on the economic, psychological, and social aspects, but also the educational sector to a great extent. The spread of the virus became a pandemic, leading to closures of educational institutions and eventually migration to remote learning by all levels, transforming the traditional face-to-face setup into distance education, online teaching, remote learning, blended learning, and mobile learning. Almost all education institutions across the globe have migrated to remote learning modality as part of their safety measures against the spread of the coronavirus disease 2019. This is the main reason why the researchers chose to conduct this study.
Then these are the statement of the problem of this research. The researchers formulated 3 questions. First, what are the most common factors affecting students in online distance learning in terms of student engagement? In this part, we ask the students if they practice time management and thus their internet is a struggle for them. Second, mental health. In this area, we question about their likeliness to still continue the online setup. Then physical health, we ask if they still have time for their physical health because of online learning. Second, SOP, what are the coping techniques employed by the students to cope with online distance learning? We ask different kinds of coping techniques like the social media can help them focus and if they strictly avoid procrastination. Last, what is the social support received by students to cope with online distance learning in terms of family support, friend support, other support? In this part, we ask who is their greatest support during online learning. Therefore, these are the statement of the problem.
Objectives. The first one. We researchers decided to conduct this study to know the impacts that affect students during online distance learning. The second one. We intend to provide reasons as to why students experience difficulties during online distance learning and also some solutions on how to overcome it. Next. Scope and limitation. This study involved a group of selected 50 Philippine Christian University Dasmariñas students enrolled during the school year 2020 to 2022. The participants were selected based on their ability to provide the needed information and their connectivity at the time of the conduct of this study. They were chosen regardless of their age, sex, course standing, economic status, and geographical location.
And now let's move on to the methodology. We researchers use primary data and survey questionnaire as the sources of data. Research instrumentation. Google Form, the data were collected using an electronic questionnaires survey method through Google Form. The next, 5-point Likert scale. We use it as to express the respondents' opinion based on the 5-point Likert scale. And then we use also PSSS or the perception of social support scale. We use it to assess an individual's self-understanding and self-perception.
Then we have the statistical tools used. We evaluated the data gathered by finding the average mean, and in order for us to do that, each of the respondents' answer were given a value based on the weight of their answer. Strongly disagree is 1, disagree is 2, neutral is 3, agree is 4, and strongly agree is 5. Therefore, the weighted mean is equal to the summation of the code multiplied by the number of its equivalent frequency all over the number of respondents. To further analyze this, the range should also be established. To compute for the range and to determine the range, we have range is equal to the lowest value minus the highest value all over 5, because 5 is the number of options in the Likert scale. Then we also have the standard deviation. To get the standard deviation of their score, we use the formula in getting the standard deviation of a 5-point Likert scale. We have standard deviation is equal to the square root of the mean 2 minus the weighted mean. For the procedure in gathering the data, we requested to conduct a research study, and when approved, we disseminated our questionnaire to the participants. It has also been noted that the participation of the participants in our study is not compulsory, and their identity will remain anonymous. After we reached the target number of respondents, we collected and gathered and interpreted all of these data.
Let's move on to problem findings, conclusion, and recommendation. This is the result for student engagement. Findings. The respondents in general agree in practicing time management to cope with the lessons and activities in an online learning setup. Second, it indicates that the majority agree that internet connection is a struggle and sometimes hinders them to participate and perform in class. Last, the respondents feel stressed because online learning gives more pressure to them. The conclusion, most of them need time management and strong internet connection to cope up in online distance learning. The recommendation for this, integrate mechanism on the school policy on which students experience technological problems be given consideration and catch up with the school requirements.
This is the result of the questionnaire during our data gathering. Based on the data gathered, here are the findings of the most common factors affecting students in online distance learning in terms of mental health. The first one, the majority of the respondents experience emotional problems in online class during pandemic. Second, in general, the respondents agree they feel stressed because online learning gives more pressure. Third, yet amid the pressure, the respondents remained neutral in terms of thinking of quitting school due to the feeling senselessness. Therefore, we researchers concluded that online learning indeed affects the mental health of the students. The stress of fulfill the online requirements and the add up stress on overthinking, the uncertainty of the future career affects the choice of the students to quit school. The 42% of the respondents had experienced this dilemma. Recommendation. As a Christian university, we can integrate support group in helping students and their respective families with the challenges of online learning.
And now let's move on to the physical health. That's the survey that we gathered in physical health. These are the findings. The respondents attested that they prioritize their school tasks rather eating their meals on time. Next, the respondents also agree that they experience lack of sleep due to their online requirements. Then last, they also agree and attested that don't have time to self-care activities such as skincare, getting physical exercise, because they are more concerned about their school requirements and deadlines. Conclusion. Online learning greatly affects the physical and mental well-being of the students. Spending more time to catch up with the learning curve and spending time to complete online requirements rather than the student to even their meals on time. As a recommendation, in consideration to the effects of online learning and the physical health of the students, a curricula and mode of teaching that entice more physical and interactive activities is highly recommended.
This is the result of the survey questionnaire during the data gathering for the coping techniques employed by the students to cope with online distance learning. And based on the data gathered, here are the findings, conclusions, and recommendations of the researchers. For the findings, first, staying out of social media gearing towards the respondents' agreement to focus on their online studies. Second, the respondents strongly agree and recognize that value of having enough sleep to be productive. Third, they also agree that planning ahead of time and do tasks in advance to help prepare and minimize bombarded tasks. And lastly, strictly avoiding procrastination received a neutral mark. For its conclusion, the students exercised various coping mechanisms to overcome the challenges of online learning. Family support and friend support are indeed important to motivate and push the respondents to continue their education. Recommendations include group activities and group learning opportunities in the method of teaching. It also should be taken note that certain measures should also be added to avoid students who keep relying on their fellow students in creating academic output.
For family and friend support, these are the data gathered. Family and friend support. Findings. The majority of the students have their family and friend support for their online learning. This finding is what drives e-health sites and learning journals to create ways on how to strengthen support system within family and circle of friends amid the COVID-19 pandemic and online learning environment. For its conclusion, family support and friend support are indeed important to motivate and push the respondents to continue their education. The recommendation for this, develop a program for parents to help understand the current situation of the students in the online learning setup and provide tips on best practices to create opportunities in aid the students' needs amid the online learning challenges.
And for the last one, the other support, these are the data we gathered for other support. For the findings, some to founder more or two source of support that have the greatest number of mention. Social media, who got a total of 26 mention in partner, such as boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, with 15 mention. And for the conclusion, social media lead the number of the mention as the source of other support. This strengthened the previous study and inquiries on how social media plays a vital role in youth development.
Here are the links and references used by the researchers.
This is the end of our presentation and thank you for listening.